Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Woitis from the Government of Alberta's Be Prepared program within the Alberta Emergency Management Agency. Welcome to the fourth video of the In It Together series for Emergency Preparedness Week 2026. This video is part 4 of a 5-part series from the Be Prepared program that will help you build practical steps towards making community connections that help increase your resilience to disruptions, emergencies, or even disasters. Emergency Preparedness Week, or EP Week, is a nationwide event coordinated by Public Safety Canada in partnership with provinces, territories, and other partners to encourage Canadians to become better prepared for emergencies. It's an annual event that takes place during the first full week of May, and in 2026, EP Week runs from May 3rd to May 9th. This year, Alberta is presenting a new theme titled In It Together, centered around the important preparedness behavior of making community connections. Our goal with this video series is to encourage more Albertans to take simple, proactive steps to build and use community connections as part of their emergency preparedness. We're in it together, before, during, and after emergencies. Today, we're discussing what community connections can look like during and after an emergency. Make sure you check out the other videos to learn the other steps, and tune in tomorrow to check out our final video release titled, We All Have a Role to Play, but Together We Are More Resilient. Making community connections is just one of the many preparedness behaviors that the Be Prepared program promotes. There are different steps you can take to be prepared. We touch on these steps in other videos, but a main point we want to emphasize through this series and throughout our program is that preparedness is personal. It's an ongoing journey built upon over time that is influenced by your individual circumstances and needs. The Be Prepared program is here to help you learn different steps that you can take to be prepared, wherever you're at in your preparedness journey that makes sense for you. With all that said, let's get into it. The Blues family has been helping us learn about the steps to make community connections all week. Today, we'll use the Blues as an example of how our community connections can help us during and after an emergency. The Blues live in Fort Edgarry, Alberta. We chose Fort Edgarry as our location because we wanted you to be able to see yourself in today's example, regardless of where you live in Alberta. Bob and Brianna Blue are both in their 40s. They have 2 children, Bennett, 14, and B, 8, who attend the local high schools and elementary schools, respectively. Brianna's mom, Grandma Betty, lives across town in her own home, and they also have a beloved dog named Bluebell, who works from home. The Blues have been through an emergency before and have since learned through the Be Prepared program that there are different risk reduction behaviors or preparedness actions they can add to their routine over time to build resilience against disruptions of all sizes. They learned a lot during this experience and noticed a few challenges they had when the emergency occurred, including not having a contact list of folks nearby who could help Bluebell evacuate while they were out of the house, not knowing which neighbors may be around in the community while the Blues are at work or school, who may be able to check in on their home or grab supplies if they need them, and not feeling confident asking the people around them for help. From their own experience and from what they've learned through the Be Prepared program, the Blues have learned that there's a name for the gaps that they've experienced during the emergency, what Be Prepared likes to call making community connections. And they're not alone. The 2025 Preparedness Survey of Albertans taught them that only 12% of Albertans reported having a community support system, which got them thinking about what their community looks like and how they might work together during tough times. Throughout this video series, we've used the Blues to learn about making community connections. Specifically, we've learned about different types of community and identified the various groups we, like the Blues, might be a part of, like the neighborhood watch group, the classroom, and school, the workplace, the German Cultural Center, and more. How to use everyday opportunities to make community connections, starting conversations at work and school, leveraging scheduled events like Earth Day or the Alberta Emergency Test Alert to talk preparedness, and the other preparedness steps to show others what it means to be prepared. Identifying the strengths and weaknesses in our community and how we might work together when an emergency occurs. This could be the skills and interests folks around us have, like first aid if they were a doctor or specialist, what resources they may have, like a ladder, a vehicle, or a generator, who may need extra help and who can offer extra help, and different community organizations that they could leverage during a disruption, and the importance of documenting this information in a contact list that's accessible online and offline. Today, the Blues have been alerted that there's an emergency in Fort Edgarry and they need to evacuate immediately. Anxiety and fear may come up, but the Blues are reminded of some of the preparedness steps they've taken this year. How do you think the Blues community connections will help play a role during the emergency? Take a moment and reflect. Let's walk through it. The connections you build and maintain year-round contribute to a strong support system you can rely on for help during an emergency. This could look like checking on others, more specifically, checking on those who may need extra help, making sure they know the current situation and are able to stay informed on changing conditions and directions from authorities. If the risk of harm is high, doing wellness checks with loved ones, your buddy, and community members throughout the day. Especially consider checking in on those who may be at higher risk, like older adults, those who live alone, or those who have unique needs or disabilities. If your pets are left home alone, ask a community member or buddy to check on them or remove them from the home if in danger. Sharing with others by creating a virtual neighborhood or work group to share information, provide updates, conduct wellness checks, ask for support, and share preparedness tips. Offering and sharing resources like flashlights or personal protective equipment, and offering or sharing skills or time in ways like first aid or emotional support. And if it's safe to do so and time permits, you could be helping others by packing emergency and personal items into a quick grab and go bag if an evacuation is ordered, gathering emergency supplies in case a shelter in place advisory is issued, filling tanks and charging vehicles or electronic devices, or getting pets and animals ready for an evacuation or into a safe shelter. Similar to the Blues, your household might often be working and recreating in different places, which means you'll have to consider where to meet if separated, how you'll meet, if anyone may need extra assistance to get to a safe place, and how your community connections could help you achieve those goals. When the evacuation alert hits Fort Edgary, Bob's at work, which is a 45-minute drive away from town, and he may have a role to play in the emergency response, meaning he's unable to provide his loved ones with immediate support. Instead, he messages the household group chat with reminders about their designated meeting spot to make sure they're all headed to the same place. Grandma Betty, who lives independently and doesn't drive, has arranged pickup with a nearby friend to help her get to the meeting place. Since Grandma Betty lives nearby Bee's school, Bob and Bree previously coordinated to have her added to Bee's school pickup list, which came in handy today because Betty and her friend are able to pick up Bee on the way out of town. Brianna, who can't immediately leave work without helping evacuate her patients, has already prearranged for a fellow parent from Bennett's school to help evacuate him. She's also asked a friend from the neighborhood watch group to grab Bluebell, as well as their emergency kit, and take them to their designated meeting place. Bee and Bennett hang tight for their rides and share the recent preparedness information they've learned with their friends to help everyone keep calm. Bennett and his outdoors club are messaging each other the updates they see from trusted local authorities online and sharing them with their friends and their households. Pause and reflect how this might play out in your own life, where you and your loved ones are in your day-to-day, and how you can work together with your community connections and plan ahead to help each other out if an emergency were to occur. Connected communities are resilient communities. Research shows that communities who have an established strong social connections before an emergency often experience better outcomes following the emergency, including reduced impacts and recovery time. When a community is impacted by a disaster, every community member is affected in various ways and degrees of severity. Staying connected and supportive during the difficult stages of recovery contributes to a stronger foundation for community resilience moving forward. The Blues have now returned home after being evacuated for a week. Now we can walk through how their community connections support each other following the emergency. The few weeks following an emergency are an important time to reassess and share information with members of your community who were also impacted. This could look like updating contact lists, replenishing supplies, and sharing information and supports discovered along the way, and ensuring those around us feel supported and listened to after our shared experience. For example, Bee helps people in her cul-de-sac and at the theater build their own emergency kits to help them prepare for emergencies in the future. Bennett and his outdoor club friends share resources online for Fort Edgarians to access trusted local resources and supports. Bob and his coworkers discuss supplies and procedures that would have helped them during the evacuation and update their workplace emergency plan, as well as update their roles and responsibilities. Brianna, Bluebell, and the Neighborhood Watch team coordinate a biannual community barbecue at the community hall as an open invite for community members to get to know each other and hopefully talk about their experiences during the evacuation. Grandma Betty translates preparedness resources for the German Cultural Center to distribute to their community and writes to her local authorities suggesting they do the same for other languages. When a community is impacted by a disaster, every community member is affected in various ways and degrees of severity. Staying connected and supportive during the difficult stages of recovery contributes to a stronger foundation for community resilience moving forward. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow, we will release the final video of our 5-part series, where you can learn more about our individual roles in an emergency preparedness and the year-round habits we can adopt. Follow along tomorrow to see how the Blues continue to make community connections.